Hey everyone, welcome to The Highest Vibe. I'm Jess, and today we're going back to basics as we explore easy pose. So this pose is actually seemingly easy, but it can be quite challenging for a lot of people, especially beginners. So I'm going to show you how to properly get into the pose and also give you a few different variations that you can take to help make the pose more comfortable. If you have them, you can have a block and a blanket close by for today's practice, but if you don't have them, don't worry about it. Okay, when you're ready, we'll start in a seated position. Okay, so easy pose, or Sukhasana in Sanskrit. So as I mentioned, this looks pretty simple, but it can actually be quite hard for a lot of people, especially if you have tight hips, or even if you're just not used to sitting on the floor. So most people are pretty accustomed to sitting in chairs a lot of the time. So when you get down onto the floor, it can be quite challenging for people to come into a comfortable position. So I'm just going to show you how to come into this pose, and then I'll give you a few modifications, and then we'll use our props. So you would start with your legs extended straight out in front of you, and then you're just going to cross your shins over one another, and you're going to bring your knees to stack over top of your ankles. So you want to make sure that there's some space in between your pelvis and your feet. So rather than having your feet in close to you, you want to bring your knees wide enough so that you can bring your feet away from you. So if you're looking down, you should see an upside down triangle shape in between your shins or your calves and your pelvis. And then you're just going to rest your hands on top of your knees. And it's really important in this position to lengthen your spine. So relax your shoulders down, open up your chest, reach the crown of your head up towards the sky, and find more length through your spine. And as you do this, both sitting bones, so those pointy bits, are just grounding down into the earth below you. Good, so it seems pretty easy, right? I think I make it look pretty easy because my hips are pretty open, and of course I've been practicing this pose for a really long time. So one way that you can make it easier is by adding some height underneath of your seat. So I'm going to take this really nice thick blanket. So a thicker blanket works better in this case because you're not just going to sink into it when you sit on it. So these types of blankets are pretty trendy, I find now, so you can probably find them anywhere. So you're just going to come to sit kind of on the edge of the blanket. And this gives some height for your hips. And when you bring your hips above your knees slightly, this allows more space or more room. And then once again, just realign your feet to come underneath of your knees. So you might feel a little bit of discomfort in the ankles the first few times that you do this, but that goes away in time. Flexing through your feet, relaxing your knees down, and then once again finding that length in your spine, opening up the chest and relaxing your shoulders. Good, so if you feel like you need even more height, you can always use a block and place that either underneath of the blanket, so you're using both, or just use the block on its own. Good, so this pose is really, really good for opening up tight hips. It's also good for stretching your knees and stretching your ankles. It's also an amazing pose to strengthen your back muscles and improve your posture. So if you find it very difficult to sit straight up, then you can also use the wall as sort of a prop here. So you can scoot your bum up close to the wall and just use that for support for your back. So you want to stay in this pose for roughly 5 to 10 breaths at first, and then you can increase that each time you practice. So this is a wonderful pose to come back to during meditation. In fact, this is the pose that I sit in during meditation. So if you can stay here for 5 to 10 minutes each morning, then you're probably in pretty good shape as far as your hips go. So from here, we're just going to practice this pose by closing our eyes Coming into your breath. Feeling your seat rooted into either the mat or your blanket or maybe your block. Feeling the crown of your head reaching up towards the sky. Creating some space in between your shoulders and your ears. So finding more length in your neck. Let's stay here for 5 more breaths. The last breath here. And slowly opening your eyes. Good. So that was just a quick demonstration of easy pose or Sukhasana. And if you found this challenging today, just remember the little helpers, using the props, the block, the blanket, the wall, and also just practicing. So maybe committing to a practice every day for 5 minutes and just closing your eyes, connecting with your breath, and just feeling into your body. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope that you found some more ease in easy pose. Namaste.